Hi everyone. I always say good evening, don't I? But I know that there are people watching from all over the world. So wherever you are, good afternoon, good evening, or good morning. But welcome to my Wednesday Live at 5. I'm Lynn, for those of you that don't already know that. And I'm really pleased to have joining today alongside one of our community champions. Today, we're going to be talking about digital transformation within higher education, how universities are modernising student experiences, and how Salesforce Education Cloud is helping institutions move away from outdated systems and processes. So, as an introduction, I am so pleased, genuinely really excited to talk to our community champion today, Majad. And Majad is experienced digital transformation and Salesforce professional who specialises in higher education and student system information and transformation. He's worked on major Salesforce Education Cloud programs, including student record system implementations, administration and admissions, transformational projects, modernising how universities engage and with support for students. So what really stands out for me about Majad is his passion for helping universities improve both operational efficiency and overall student experience through technology and innovation. Majad, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm really pleased to be here to speak to your audience.
You're really welcome. And just a little bit, I suppose, I'd like to start by finding out a little bit about your journey. What first attracted you to digital transformation and technology within higher education?
Sure, thank you for having me. So my journey starts off as a techie. So I used to be a database administrator. I was really heads down, headphones on, sitting in front of a computer, not really interacting much with other people, and getting on with the technical work. And then I moved into project management because I saw badly led projects, and I thought I could do a better job. So that's my journey into project management, and that's where I've been since for over 10 years now. My journey from public sector into universities was the first project was leading proprietary implementations, the traditional systems that universities tend to favor because they speak the language of the university, and they really do well with statutory returns. So that was my first project engagement with higher education. And then I moved into and found Salesforce and a Salesforce project. So leading a Salesforce project was a real breath of fresh air. So I've been sticking with that ever since. And, the growth and innovation with that Salesforce is bringing is amazing. So that's where I am. That's my brief journey.
That's lovely. And it's lovely to hear that. And I know that we spoke briefly before the session, and you're in London and I'm in Devon, and you work in Devon and I work in London.
Yeah, currently that's the same. Yeah. So I do travel to Plymouth for occasionally, and it's a really nice part of the country. Yeah.
Yeah, and I travel to London, and hopefully I'll see you at World Tour next week. Anyway, moving swiftly on. So we talk about universities because they're often working with very old and heavy customized systems. When you first started working in this space, what were your biggest challenges that you actually noticed?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So universities have lots of challenges. They are not like banks. They're not like other industries. The first thing that I appreciated there were lots of nice people at universities who genuinely are passionate about what they do. Yeah. So that's the first thing. The second thing is they're not used to frequent change projects. They don't have major change projects all the time. Universities are pretty stable institutions, and that's changed since I've started working at universities. But really, the biggest challenges in implementation of a change project at universities is one, the proprietary systems that they use to, they have, they understand university language. They do really well with the reporting capabilities, and there's a lot of trust that universities put into those systems because of the history that they have. So a lot of the challenges that are faced by universities implementing change projects with those traditional systems, and in fact with any change project, is change readiness. So there's, as I mentioned, there's a lot of nice people. They're not used to big change projects, and they need help. And a lot of that help comes from the senior leadership direction about clear processes, documenting what processes have evolved over time. So when it comes to bringing in a change program, those processes have vastly changed from where they started off from, and there's no documentation associated with them or no agreement about them. So more resource is required in understanding what the current processes are, and fulfilling resource requirements for the project to make sure we're in a good position to make change, and not just putting additional pressure on people that are just managing the business as usual. The other big challenge that I saw were system challenges. So there's a lot of complexity with the proprietary systems that universities traditionally use. They came from very different backgrounds. They are layered products because they've been customized and built over time. So the underlying object model is not clean, and therefore there's a lot of complexity. And then they don't usually have modern UI UX capabilities. So bringing something like that and enforcing people to use it was a adoption challenge as well. So those are the real big points, I think, and challenges in bringing in any big change into universities, and then specifically around the proprietary systems that people are at universities are used to.
Yeah, and I think, you're so right in terms of user experience. I think change is always such a big part, isn't it? Because unless you get everyone on board, then, I think everyone needs to be aligned and on the same singing from the same hymn sheet, as they say. So I think change is so important. And I think, obviously what you're doing sounds like you're doing a great job. So that's always good.
And
But
and additionally, sorry, just to add, so the resourcing is really important, because a lot of the time, we put additional pressure on people to do more when they're already struggling with the workload that they have. And as you know, university landscape is changing massively. There are a lot of challenges, external, internal, and we're putting more pressure on those people. If we don't resource those teams effectively for a change project, that's a sign of failure. And usually projects then start or get delayed or have additional costs. So all those things are true and happening right now for a lot of universities.
Yeah, and I think, there are so many industries that use Salesforce, but what keeps you passionate about working with education specifically?
So that's a great question. So look, I've um, having worked at university, I see the effect and the impact that has on society. Higher education, I firmly believe, should be free, but that's another topic, because of the impact it has on society. If we have skilled people who have a wide breadth of talent and skills that they can only really access at university, by getting that deep focused learning, um, that is a lifeline for society. And societies that invest in higher education, they do well, they do great. And we can look at Nordic countries and how they invest in their education system. So that is a big impetus for me, to stay in higher education. I really enjoy the people that I work with, and I've worked at lots of universities. And then, yeah, having doing a change project has a real impact on the students and the staff, and to see that at the end of a project, how it's improved their lives and their experience, I think that's rewarding as well, where you may not see that in a change project at a bank where you've upgraded a system. You don't see the real impact that has on people.
Yeah, and I think you're so right. That word people, that really resonates with me, because I think it's all about the people, isn't it? Whatever you're doing, surrounding yourself with the right people is what keeps you passionate about what you're doing. I think I think that's something that I would absolutely say to anybody. But you've become, throughout this journey, you've become really well known for your work around Salesforce and Education Cloud. But for anyone watching who may not know about it, how would you explain Education Cloud in simple terms?
Yeah, no, I think it's important to understand the journey that Education Cloud, why it's here, where it is. So Salesforce is a CRM system, and that means it's focused around a customer. Now, they had lots of other what they call industry clouds, but industry-focused Salesforce flavors. They had one for banking. They've got one for service and service type industries, and they had finance and insurance and all the others. So they then decided to focus and bring all of those great things that they've developed for all those other industries and brought that to education. So that means that Salesforce Education Cloud is an object model built around the customer, which is the learner. So all the objects and the object model is built around the learner. And that's really important because other systems may not be built around, focused around the student. So that's one thing. Salesforce Education Cloud has come out from all the great stuff that they've done everywhere else around industry verticals, and Education Cloud is a product of that. The other thing is that Salesforce itself is a declarative, not imperative SaaS software. So that means a lot of it is configurable. You don't have to develop it. So if you want to change something, there is probably some configuration that you need to do to make it work, through flow, through page layouts, through reports, through dashboards. So there's lots of things that can be done to make it work for you, based on very easy to do, declarative work, configuration work. So that's really good. It's adaptive. It's adaptable, and then, as I said, the whole focus of Salesforce is built around the learner, and so all the innovation that they've got in other verticals has been brought to education and focused around the learner. The main areas that they're delivering to are recruitment and admissions. So how do we get somebody, and Salesforce, by the way, a lot of universities already use Marketing Cloud from Salesforce for their marketing journey. So they already have some experience of Salesforce in marketing. Now, once you've got the lead capture, to convert the lead and bring them on board to start an admissions journey, that usually fell to a archaic proprietary system and a poor experience for the student. Now with Education Cloud, that admissions and recruitment journey is now, is a smoother and more engaging experience. So that's one part of Salesforce Education Cloud. And then there's the whole academic operations, which is the next phase of where Salesforce wants all universities to move into. At the moment, I'm seeing lots of universities who are engaging on the Education Cloud recruitment and admissions area, and that's their focus. And people have implemented. Indeed, I did at Richmond American University, where they went for a partner product built on Salesforce, which dealt with the whole other aspect of academic operations and alumni. But Education Cloud really offers that full journey from lead capture, ready to start admissions process, all the way to alumni and engagement after alumni. And these are modular, so you can implement parts of it and build it on top of what you have.
Yeah, and I think just to add to that, I think I've actually had a call with Hannah as well, one of your colleagues, and I know that we were talking about universities. I mean, globally, universities have done training with us. So obviously, I know how that process is working. But I think it's so important, like you said, that change piece is really important. I think to make sure that everyone knows what they're doing, because a system is nothing unless people know how to use it properly, do they? So, but you've worked, as my understanding, on some large transformational projects within universities. But what does successful digital transformation project actually look like from a student experience perspective?
So let me just reiterate some of those points that were made before about large transformation projects and how to make it successful for university, because ultimately the student experience will come as a result of that. Just those same points, understanding change from the senior stakeholders' perspective, that change engagement from senior stakeholders, buy-in and alignment of all business units along that vision. So that's really essential to support the change, which will then result in a great student experience at the end of it. To have champions within the various areas that are affected. So if it's admissions, for example, it's really good to have admissions champions who are passionate about and engaged with the project along the way, and then they will carry on that engagement after the project closes. Great communications within the project team and with also all the stakeholders that are involved. Communications throughout the project are really, really important to make sure that everyone's on board and hears about what's happening. And then engaging the implementation team, who, if it's a vendor, and most of the times universities are choosing to use vendors. So as a project manager, I'm engaging frequently with vendors who are Salesforce partners and are experts in Education Cloud, to have them engage with the university on best practice, because quite often universities don't know enough about Salesforce and they want guidance and they want to know how best to achieve success. So they don't have all the answers, and they do really hope that the vendor also advises on that journey as well. So having an engaged vendor and asking those probing questions like, does that really need to be done? Do you really want to go down this route? Here's what we've found from previous experience. That's really, really great for success. At the end of all of that, the student experience is that they have multiple channels that they engage the university through, because Salesforce has the capability to engage through multiple channels: WhatsApp, website, email, SMS, booking. So all of those different channels that a student can experience to engage with the university, and then they see the look and the feel of their student portal or their admissions, the applicant portal. It's no different or better than what they used to in other portals that they use online, like opening a bank account or signing up for an event. The experience they have with Salesforce gives them a similar experience, so they have a good feel about it, whereas quite often the proprietary systems don't have a disjointed engaging portal or UI UX for students to engage through. So the student experience is one where they feel wanted and they feel respected, and they have multiple channels to engage the university through while they're going through their admissions journey and their academic journey.
Right. And, student expectations, I mean, I'm sure that over the years, they've absolutely, changed. I'm sure that everything is completely different. But how important is digital experience and the challenges that people are facing now, students are facing with AI, and how's that adoption coming on?
That is a challenge, yeah. So a lot of universities are wrangling with the fact of how to control the use of AI, how to guide students on an AI journey, what is good use of AI, and indeed the staff as well. So, what things can staff share with an AI model? So there's a lot of discussion. I don't think that's been settled. I don't think there's any great answers out there. Um, there's lots of guidance, and every university should have an AI policy. I'm sure, like Plymouth Marjon University has a great AI policy use. Um, but that is a challenge, and the future is that more and more students will rely on AI for advice, advice about their academic journey, advice about health, advice about things on campus. So they'll rely more and more on AI. So there is a case that we should, as universities should be engaging more on building perhaps their own model, something that is specific to the university, a sovereign AI. So there's a case for that. Certainly, with regards to, if you're asking about Salesforce, we both know that Salesforce is constantly innovating in that area, with Agentforce, the launch a couple of years ago, and now with the announcement about Headless 360. So that essentially means that any AI model can be used to engage Salesforce processes without going through the UI UX, without going through Salesforce login and screens and prompts. So that's amazing, because now a student could potentially be talking to having a WhatsApp conversation and completing their entire application form through WhatsApp, because they're talking to an agent which is filling out that application form for them. They could be talking to an agent about booking their accommodation and what accommodation options they're available. So instead of picking up a phone or sending an email, they could have a live conversation with an AI agent, the university's AI agent, student journey officer, which then helps them complete all those things that they need to do to get to a stage of becoming a student at that university and beyond.
And just something just thinking about, you mentioned WhatsApp. Are you using Slack as well through university?
So some universities are using. We're not using Slack here at the university that I'm engaged with currently, but definitely that's a way that people need to go. Yeah, Slack is hugely popular and is a great tool.
Yeah, and I think we talk about AI. I think I mean, I live my life now. Everything that I do, I get assistance from AI, and obviously ChatGPT is the main one I use, and I think it's all about the prompting and obviously the editing afterwards. I think it's so important that people don't just take what they get. But where do you genuinely see AI is actually helping universities in a practical kind of way?
So as I just mentioned, I think agentic AI is the way forward, especially with all the challenges around universities appealing to their international audience and also being available longer than the hours that a physical person can be. So an agentic AI a solution for example, marketing and admissions would definitely be an area which would massively help increase conversion rates, increase engagement from potential applicants, clearing up any concerns and queries. So that would be definitely an area that agents could be employed at university, and again, it would be grounded in the university's knowledge base. So it would be answering questions around the program specification, around fees, around accommodation, around disability, all, allowances around, around the university, sports events, what's available, what's not available. So an agent could be doing that, and it could be multilingual. So if you are attracting international students and they're at 3 a.m. in the morning asking questions about how do I fill in the application form, an agent would be responsive at 3 a.m. where a physical person wouldn't be. So that could be one area. The other area is also helping the current professional services for augmenting their knowledge, for being a resource on process, on areas around the university. So HR issues could massively be beneficial if they were asked and answered by an AI agent. So those two areas I think would be where university could immediately start, and there's lots of solutions that they could start working on and engaging vendors on.
Yeah, and I think it's all about embracing any change, isn't it? Throughout your life, everything changes. I think, whilst there is always the human element, which is so important, I think that's a concern that a lot of people have. I think it can only help and support, anyone that wants to try any AI tool. But a lot of people watching these sessions are either about to start their Salesforce journey, or they're thinking about specializing. I always talk about their niche, finding, not expecting to know everything, just having a niche. But what advice would you give to someone that is interested in Salesforce Education Cloud, or maybe digital transformation?
Yeah, absolutely good. Great question. I think just as I did as well when I started that Salesforce journey, is one, I would say definitely the best place to learn is online with Trailhead. So Trailhead is Salesforce's training area. It's free to sign up to an account, and you can look at other people's journeys as well. So they have a trail mix. So Lynn, you may have created the trail mix for yourself to say, I'm interested in this area, this area, this area. Create me a training plan, and Trailhead can then take you down that trail plan, that learning plan. So that's one area. Trailhead is a great area. Then there's also experts that I think everyone should follow, and there's lots of them. I particularly like Francis Pinder. So he's a great expert. I think he ran the London's Calling development event as well. So he's a great person. He also has training sessions as well online, which you can search for. The next area is attending all the events. So Salesforce has Education Cloud events. If you're at a university, do sign up to those events and attend the Salesforce events. There's also Salesforce Dreamforce, which is coming up next week. So all the events that Salesforce puts on are mostly free. In fact, all of them are free. I don't think there's anything that's charges there. So do attend all the events and speak to people, to complement your learning, your online learning. But yeah, definitely that's what I would do, and that's what I did, and I found it really useful. So yeah, there are certifications. Some people like certifications. Great, do it, go for it. But really to have that rounded view of where Salesforce is, what its journey it's going on, and where AI fits into that journey is really, really good as well.
Yeah, and Francis, I completely agree. I was actually a speaker at London's Calling last week, so I met up with Francis at the event we had the night before. So yeah, I completely agree. And obviously, foundational knowledge as well. Of course, Supermums do offer a great program, so just worth mentioning that if anybody wanted more information on that. But finally, what excites you most about the future of Salesforce with education?
I think there's still lots of innovation coming from Salesforce on all those areas. Two things. One is they are really hot on now on the statutory reporting. So they are developing a module for statutory reporting. And that means that anybody adopting Salesforce for academic operations can have the assurance that they can produce the statutory reports. At the moment, that's a bit of a challenge to produce them from Salesforce. Requires a bit of extra work, but Salesforce have launched a separate module for that, and they're going to be promoting that and developing that and supporting that. So that's a great area for specifically for education. The other thing is, as I mentioned, about agentic AI. So 100% agentic AI is coming. It's going to be focused for education. There's lots of use cases where universities can take that up and benefit from that and see an ROI immediately from implementation. There are guardrails. Salesforce is a platform where agents can live safely, and they're not going to tell you about cooking recipes when they should be talking about admissions. So there are some guarantees around what that agent can do. So I think those are the two areas that are really exciting coming up, and universities need to be aware of it.
That's great. And Majad, thank you so much for joining me today. I absolutely love your passion in Education Cloud. And I think it's, like you'll often hear me say, I think it's all about, finding, this sounds really, but finding what your niche is and absolutely following it. And you definitely have done that. So it's been really interesting to hear all about the future of higher education in your eyes with Salesforce, Agentforce. Obviously, we spoke about that. Of course, we spoke about Agentforce. I don't think any talk these days would be the same without talking about Agentforce. But it's really great that what you're doing. I'm sure everyone appreciates you within the university, as well as hopefully everyone listening today. So thank you for watching my Wednesday Live at 5. Please do connect with Majad. Follow his content around Education Cloud. He's one of our amazing community champions here at Supermums. But would you like to add anything, Majad?
No, I'd say exactly echo what you said. Follow those passions. Salesforce is a great tool, a platform, and it's got lots of innovation. I've used I've been in lots of different areas, and Salesforce has really attracted me, and I'm staying with the Salesforce landscape because they just keep bringing new things which are just amazing. So yeah, stick with this area and definitely keep learning.
It's absolutely, I agree with you. Every day something new and exciting is happening. So once again, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for joining myself and Majad, and I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.